Manchester United 0. Everton 1. And just to confirm what that means then for United, they remain sitting 10th in the table. Of course, they had the opportunity to go up to 4th in the table with a win that many thought would happen, especially when Everton were down to 10 men. Very much then. 3 points dropped for Ruben Amorim's side. For more, let's welcome in, shall we? Frank Leboeuf is with us, and for the very first time, Dimi Berbatov joins us as well. Dimi, let's start with you. That was embarrassing, wasn't it, from your old team?
Hi guys. Yeah, unfortunately, a bad night for United and everybody connected with the club, especially when you play 80 minutes with one man more on the pitch and not be able to score a goal. But credit to Everton and their whole team for defending the way they should. But still, though, something that United need to think of, that goal that they're missing to score, especially again playing with one man more on the pitch for 80 minutes.
What the heck happened, Stevie? You think down to 10 men,
Yeah.
but United were sloppy right from the start in this tie.
Yeah, they were. I mean, you thought straight away when they go down to 10, we're all sitting going, well, this is done.
Yeah.
Because up until then, I'm not sure Man United had been in Everton's half that much up to that point. But it took them till the second half, because for the rest of the first half, we saw the goal. Manchester United did nothing, absolutely nothing. And yes, there was a bit of an onslaught in terms of territorial advantage. But the biggest problem United had is not moving the ball quickly. When you're a man up and you move the ball around, then the opposition have to move around quicker, and that takes the legs out of them. Instead of that, you're knocking the ball around from side to side. It's so easy for Everton just to shuffle across. So you're not taking advantage of the extra man. That's the biggest problem. They didn't take advantage because he didn't move the ball quick enough.
Were they complacent, Shaq?
I don't know. It's difficult to explain, right? From a United perspective, hard to explain, even more difficult to excuse. My first thought is for David Moyes here. He's had 2 weeks to think about this game, and then all of a sudden, in 13 minutes, two of your own players fighting, one gets sent off, and now you have to readjust. But credit to whether it's David Moyes or just the other 10 players left on the park, I thought Everton were great value for their point. No. The other side to that is you could, certainly I would say Jordan Pickford was Everton's best player, would get man of the match. But that does not paint the true picture of how this game went. I thought the 10 men of Everton bossed this game for large spells. As the game went on, of course, they tired and United had more possession, brought more to Jordan Pickford. But there were times where Everton looked the more likely to score. Even after the break, when Amorim makes changes and brings Mount on and Mazraoui goes off, I still think Everton defended wonderfully well, limited Manchester United's opportunities. And there was no real adjustment other than that. And maybe the argument is Ruben Amorim didn't have too much to call on, with Sesko and Cunha both out injured. But the truth is, United at home, a man up with, 60 minutes, 70 minutes of the game still to play. There should have been a foregone conclusion by half-time.
I think over 80 minutes, Shaq.
Yeah.
Not meaning to question your maths. Yeah. Frank, how do you explain this?
Well, simply by the fact that I think Manchester United played only on one gear. They didn't change the pace at a certain point of the on the pitch, where normally you see Amad Diallo pacing up and troubling the defense. It was the same the same pace and the same gear, and so you don't surprise the defense. And if you can play 10 against 11. I mean, I remember training with Gianluca Vialli, an Italian specialist, 4 against 10, and he couldn't score because we are well organized and we are moving. And if you don't change the pace, and if you don't try to surprise the defense, you're not going to score. Oh, yes, you need an artist like Dimitar Berbatov, but otherwise it doesn't work. And that's what happened today or tonight for Manchester United. And Dewsbury Hall showed how to change the pace and how to surprise. And one goal, bye-bye.
Dimitar, don't believe a word. You should have heard what he was saying before you came on air. Have you ever wanted to punch your teammate, Dimitar?
Oh, pretty much every game, to be honest. But Listen. I like stuff like this. It shows that you want to win. You're passionate. You want your team to do well. You want your teammates to do well. And sometimes tension boils, and either sometimes you argue with the opposition. Sometimes that it happens, you argue with your own teammates. And we've been witnessing in the past as well, bust up in the Premier League as much as you want. But again, you should stay in the dressing room or after the game. Not on the pitch, of course, because then you get the red card, you leave your teammates with one man short.
And you can be excited by the game and you don't realize, I think it's what happened to Gay, where he thinks that Keane is going to follow and he wants to give the ball to him and he realizes that in fact he made a stupid pass and being a bit annoyed by that, and then he reacts. We don't know what happened to the two of them before, but I don't think it can come from something in the past. But that's insane. That's really insane. I remember, and Xhaka must remember, because it was at Newcastle, Boyer and Dyer fighting like crazy, being both red carded. Newcastle finishing 8 against 11. That was insane. But it can happen. And that's, for me, that's stupid. That put a shame on the team. That put a shame on the club. And I really think that maybe both of them, because Keane pushed Gay. Instead of trying to calm down, he pushed him and maybe pushed Gay to slap him. So that's something that the club in internal had to sort out, because that's not a very good image of football and of Everton FC.
You experienced anything like that, Shane?
No, not on the park. So, but to Craig's point,
Frank's name is.
To Frank's point, I wasn't at Newcastle.
Thank you to remember my name.
I wasn't at Newcastle at the time of the incident that he referenced. I'd not seen anything like that during a game. Obviously, there was the Ariel Berkovic and John Hartson incident when at West Ham, but that was on the training ground. Again, it's one of those, and thank goodness for the result, because had Everton lost, this could have just kept going and going for who knows how long. But the fact that they won at least allows it drops the temperature, allows players to laugh and just kind of figure things out. Had they lost, I think this could have been infinitely worse.
See, when we were watching the game, you brought up Bruce Grobbelaar and Steve McMahon, which I'd completely forgotten about. And that was if there was VAR, they both have been sent off during that time.
Yeah, well, because they both hit each other in the face.
Yeah.
But it started and finished in the snap of your fingers. And of course, there's no VAR back then. And it was only the cameras that picked it up. The referee and the linesman don't see it.
But is that something that still bubbles in the dressing room?
No.
That's so weird, isn't it? You wouldn't think that.
It stops as quickly as it starts. And it's forgotten. Because we all understand that there's things happen on the field. And sometimes there's a bit of red mist. And with Bruce, Bruce lived on the edge a lot.
Right.
Macca's the complete opposite. I mean, Macca's the complete opposite.
Yeah.
No, there's nobody cooler and calmer than Macca. But even Macca retaliated. And again, it's the usual. Keane 100% is in the wrong. And if I'm David Moyes, I'm actually pointing the finger more at Keane. Because...
Really?
Well, Gay's reacted. The guy who's on the field of play, and we've seen it over the course of how many years, somebody has a bad challenge, the other guy loses control and hits him and gets sent off. The guy who retaliates gets sent off. And it's the same here. So if I'm David Moyes, I've got more of a problem that Keane has lifted his hands first. That's where I would start.
Frank, have you ever come close? Chris Sutton, you ate him.
No, he spit it on me, but the year before when he was playing for Blackburn. But I remember one guy in Blackburn, Graham Lasso, having a fight as well. I don't remember against whom, but that was insane, because I know Graham. Graham is the coolest guy in the world, loving everybody. When I saw the image, it was before he signed for Chelsea. I couldn't believe, knowing him after that he was capable of doing that and not stopping and fighting back. So it never happened to me, and no, I would have never reacted. You could be upset with somebody, but you don't go that far. I mean, you have to be. Come on, you have to think a bit. We know we're all football players. Sometimes we have empty brains, but still think a little bit, guys.
Let's focus a little bit on Manchester United, Dimitar. It's incredible thinking when you were with them, of course, winning Premier League titles, one of the best teams in the world. To drop how far they have it must still seem a bit of a surprise for someone who was there during the peak of their success.
Of course it is. And it's even difficult sometimes to speak about the present days and then go back to the past and compare years and how long it's been since the last Premier League trophy. And it's in a way of speaking like United needs to go back to winning ways now for 13 years without that Premier League trophy, but it is what it is. It shows you that sometimes the Premier League is so difficult to compete. Even Liverpool now dropping to 11 after they become champions last year. Of course, it's credit to the other teams that they are building the competition, so you need to be better every year if you want to stay to the top. But from Manchester United perspective, honestly, sometimes when we spoke with former teammates, we are wondering what is the right answer. Us probably answer. And we are just hoping that as soon as possible, United will come back to the right path of winning games. But obviously, it's not going to be tonight as well, because it was I can say, poor performance, because you should be able to score at least against the opposition who is playing with one man short on the pitch. But he was not able today. So there's a long road again to walk until we can finally be sure that United will go back to the fighting for the Premier League.
Dimitar, have you seen enough from Ruben Amorim to believe that he is the right man for the job?
Well, it's easy to sit here in my home or you guys in the studio and everybody can criticize. That's the easiest thing to do, right? Especially from us ex-football players. But I don't want to be that guy, because I've never been a manager. I've never been in that chair. I've never felt that pressure. I've never managed a team. So it sounds a bit ridiculous if I give my opinion on that. I just hope that he will find the right tools, the right players, the right system, although we all know that he's not going to change his system. But still, though, that hope is alive there that United will do something. Maybe the point difference, not with the first, but for the first place is not that big yet. If they can find the right course of playing. 10th place, 18 points, the 50s, 20, 40s, 21. So it's not that big gap. That's the only thing that gives me hope right now.
With the result that they had today, with an opportunity playing 11 against 10, you should have gotten the 3 points. And it's hard to believe that you can get better if you're not capable of having a result today. So yeah, everything is possible, like Spurs, and they're just one spot above Manchester United. Everything is possible, even for the first 3 or 4. For Chelsea, for anybody, you have to be really aware of what's going on behind you, because that can change very quickly. So it's an it's not open race for the title, because we feel that Arsenal is already there. But after, it's really open for everything.
They showed that the team, the very first team that Ruben Amorim put on the field, and they compared it to the team today. And so he's changed half the team. And so I remember us talking about, well, it's a culture. That's the biggest thing. You can't argue that players at United have ability. But in order to be a top club and a top team, you need the right characters and you need the right culture. And so when you look at what Man United produced today, it's hard not to question the manager, considering he's changed half the team, but yet there's no difference from that first game to this game today.
He's got injuries to deal with, and the new side coming in, sets go out.
Right. Well, let's go with that and talk about the culture and the character of the team.
Right.
And so that's why they don't beat 10 men today. That's why they get beat 1-0, because the characters in the team aren't capable of taking advantage of it, and the culture clearly isn't there. That they know in their heart, all we have to do is everybody gets together, everybody is going in the right direction, all is one, and we're going to steamroll 10 men. That isn't there. So, again, it's recruitment, but again, you have to look at the manager also.
I find it a little hard to put so much of the blame on Amorim today. And maybe to your point, there are characters out in that part. Bruno Fernandes is out there, Casemiro is out there. There are characters, to Stevie's point. We've criticised Amorim time and time again for his rigidity with his 3 at the back, but he goes to 4 at the back for the second half. you 11 men against 10, that's down to the men on the park. If you allow the 10 men to outrun you, to outwork you, to outdefend you, that's down to the men on the park. And so while I get Stevie's point about Amorim in the bigger picture, today I absolve him of responsibility for today's result.
Dimitar, do you agree with Shaka?
I think yes, to be honest, because that's why I say sometimes it goes down for the manager. We can criticize him the way he stick to his system, which he doesn't bring the result that we all want. At the same time, sometimes the characters on the pitch can decide the games. Although we have characters like the guys mentioned in the studio, like big name players like Casemiro who won pretty much everything. You have Bruno Fernandes there as a captain to lead the line. But obviously even that sometimes is not enough. And when that culture of winning the Premier League is not there yet after so many years, it's difficult to get it back. And that's one of the problems, to get into that way of keep calm when the storm is going around you. Find the right way when the team is getting with 10 men, the opposition. Now, let's not be in a hurry. We'll find the right solution. We'll find the right pass. We'll find the right space. We improvise. We score a goal. Today, that's not the case, even though we had chances to score. Pickford was probably man of the match as well. But you should win games like this if you want to go high in the table.
Just a reminder, a lot more reaction to what we've seen in the Premier League over.
The future of Ethan Nwanery's potential loan move is suddenly uncertain, as Arsenal remain wary of repeating past setbacks caused by injuries. According to recent reports, the club is open to sending the young midfielder out on loan this winter, but the idea raises immediate questions. Nwanery has become the talk of the moment after a report from the Daily Mail suggested that Arsenal are considering a temporary move for the 18-year-old. Despite his limited minutes this season, the thought of letting him leave, even temporarily, comes with significant doubts. Back in October, Mikel Arteta publicly insisted that Nwanery would have plenty of opportunities to play, pointing to the fact that the teenager had already been called upon when Martin Odegaard was injured. "I don't know, but I don't work with expectations," Arteta said at the time. "I work with what the players can give in the context of where the team is at that moment." Ethan played 2 Premier League matches early on because Martin was out. He's played in other competitions and he'll play more. Yet the reality has been very different. Nwanery has logged fewer than 500 minutes this season, appearing in just 5 of Arsenal's 11 Premier League games, none of them as a starter. His only starts came in the 2 EFL Cup wins over Port Vale and Brighton, and in the 3-0 Champions League victory against Slavia Prague. The arrival of Ebereki Eze and the promotion of Max Daumann have tightened competition even further. And despite injuries to Odegaard, Bukayo Saka, and Noni Madueke, Nwanery's pathway has only narrowed. It's easy to forget how young he still is. At 18, and having first debuted at just 15, like Daumann, these are formative years where consistent playing time is crucial. The busy festive period could open that door, but with Odegaard, Madueke, and Kai Havertz all nearing their returns, there's a real chance Nwanery could slide even further down the pecking order. This is why a January loan sounds logical on paper, but it also sets off alarm bells. Arsenal's season has already been shaped by injuries for the second year in a row, and squad depth has never felt more essential. A single setback among the attacking players over the holiday fixture run could thrust Nwanery back into an important role almost overnight. The more sensible approach may be to reassess in the summer, once the squad naturally reshapes and the club have a clearer picture of their needs heading into 2025. Only then would a loan feel more secure, ensuring Nwanery actually gets the minutes he needs rather than risking another stalled development. Even then, nothing is guaranteed. Supporters will remember Serge Gnabry's loan to West Brom, intended to push him closer to first-team football, but ultimately a move that derailed his progress before he rebuilt his career in Germany. Arsenal's recent history with loans has been mixed at best, and too often unsuccessful. For now, the club must weigh the immediate needs of the squad against the long-term growth of one of their brightest prospects. Whether a loan becomes the right option, or another cautionary tale, remains to be seen. But the complexity of Nwanery's situation extends beyond simply playing time and squad depth. Inside the club, there is an ongoing debate about how quickly young talents should be exposed to the pressures of elite-level football. Some staff members argue that Nwanery's technical level is already above many players his age and that keeping him close to Arteta's structure will accelerate his development. Others believe that without consistent starts, and without a clear pathway to earn them, his progress could plateau. The uncertainty has also stirred conversation among supporters and pundits. Several former Arsenal players have expressed concern that the club may be repeating old patterns, where promising youngsters become trapped between first-team aspirations and inconsistent minutes. Others, however, believe the club is being careful for the right reasons, protecting a player who still needs physical development before facing the demands of weekly Premier League battles. This internal and external pressure has placed added scrutiny on Arteta's handling of young talents this season. While he has been praised for trusting academy graduates in the past, the balance has become harder to maintain now that Arsenal are competing on multiple fronts and aiming for silverware. Every decision carries weight. Resting senior players risks losing points, while overusing inexperienced teenagers risks injury or decline in confidence. There is also the broader question of what kind of loan would actually benefit Nwaneri, should the club eventually decide to pursue one. A move to a Premier League side fighting relegation could offer minutes, but expose him to a demanding environment that prioritizes survival over development. A championship loan, on the other hand, might provide consistent matches, but at the cost of adjusting to a more physical style that does not always align with Arsenal's tactical identity. European options have been mentioned as well, though not confirmed. The possibility of joining a club in the Netherlands or Germany, leagues known for nurturing young talent, has been discussed quietly among observers. Yet Arsenal are hesitant, given how unpredictable such moves can be and how often they fail to produce the expected results. Meanwhile, Nwaneri himself remains focused and professional, according to those around the training ground. He is said to be eager for opportunities, but not frustrated or discouraged. The coaching staff admire his attitude, which only complicates the decision further. He is doing everything right, and still his future remains uncertain. As Arsenal approach the January window, the club finds itself at a crossroads. The next few weeks will likely be decisive, not just for Nwaneri's short-term career, but for how Arsenal choose to manage their most gifted prospects in an era of high expectations and relentless schedules. Any decision made now will be examined closely, not only because of what it means for Nwaneri, but because it will signal how the club intends to balance ambition with development as they move into the next phase of Arteta's project. Arsenal now face a difficult setback. Piero Hincapié may have to step into the North London derby under less than ideal circumstances after Gabriel's injury blow. The club is hoping that Hincapié's long late return trip to North London won't affect his readiness to replace Gabriel against Tottenham, because losing the Brazilian for such a crucial match is a major hit to Mikel Arteta's plans. Arsenal have already been forced to cope with key absences at various stages of the season, but Gabriel missing the derby presents a challenge of a very different magnitude. Naturally, the focus shifts to who will fill the gap on the left side of Arsenal's defense, and for many, the most logical answer is Piero Hincapié. The summer signing impressed during his only start for the club so far, an outstanding display at left centre-back in the League Cup win over Brighton. That night, he partnered with Christian Mosquera, who is also an option for Arteta on Sunday. One possible configuration would see William Saliba move to the left, with Mosquera taking his place on the right, depending on how heavily Hincapié's international travel weighs on Arteta's decision. And that travel is far from insignificant. The Ecuadorian defender is currently away with his national team. He captained Ecuador during their 0-0 draw with Canada, helping secure the clean sheet. But the real concern comes with his final international fixture. Ecuador face New Zealand in New Jersey in the early hours of Wednesday morning, UK time. The match kicks off at 1:30 a.m. and is expected to finish around 4 a.m. Only after that will Hincapié board his flight back to England, meaning he won't arrive in London until Wednesday afternoon at the earliest. From there, he will have just a handful of days to recover, settle back in, and prepare for one of the most intense fixtures of the season. The slight silver lining is that the derby falls late in the weekend, giving him as much time as possible to reintegrate. Still, the timing of his return is far from ideal and adds yet another layer of uncertainty to Arsenal's defensive preparations ahead of a match that could define their momentum for weeks to come. Beyond the logistical headache, Arteta and his staff must also consider the physical and tactical demands that a North London derby imposes. It is not the sort of match where a defender can arrive underprepared, particularly against a Tottenham side that has looked sharp in attack this season. Any hesitation, any lapse in intensity caused by travel fatigue, could be costly. Inside Arsenal, there is a quiet concern that the club may once again be walking a tightrope with its defensive depth. Over the past 2 seasons, injuries at the back have forced Arteta into uncomfortable choices, and Gabriel's setback reopens a conversation that the club hoped was behind them. The manager has repeatedly emphasized the importance of continuity across the defensive line, especially given how central the high defensive line and controlled build-up are to Arsenal's identity. Gabriel and Saliba have been at the core of that stability, and disrupting it inevitably changes the team's rhythm. Analysts close to the club have noted that Hincapie's profile fits the role well, confident under pressure, quick across the ground, and capable of progressing the ball with either foot. However, they also caution that he is still adapting to the Premier League's pace and physicality. Throwing him straight into a derby environment may accelerate his integration, but it also carries risk. Supporters have expressed mixed reactions as well. Many are eager to see Hincapie given a real opportunity, believing his style suits Arsenal's long-term plans. Others worry that asking him to deliver immediately, under difficult circumstances, could place unnecessary pressure on a player still in the early stages of adjusting to English football. The timing of Gabriel's injury also complicates Arsenal's broader goals. With a congested winter schedule approaching and the title race tightening, every match takes on heightened importance. Dropping points against Tottenham could shift momentum, not just in the standings but in confidence across the squad. It also forces Arteta to rethink how he manages minutes for defenders who have already logged heavy workloads this season. Club insiders say the staff have been preparing contingency plans for weeks, anticipating scenarios where international duties and injuries overlap. Yet even the best planning can be stretched thin when travel delays and late-night kickoffs are added to the equation. In the coming days, the medical and performance teams will conduct assessments to determine exactly how ready Hincapie is for Sunday's showdown. Arteta is expected to make a late decision, balancing long-term health with short-term necessity. The hope is that the Ecuadorian arrives in good condition, responds well to training, and can at least offer a reliable solution in Gabriel's absence. What remains undeniable is that Arsenal enter the derby under a new layer of pressure, forced to adapt, to trust their depth, and to test the resilience that has been a defining theme of their season so far.